And now we're going to talk landscaping. I like the name of this company, The Friendly Plant. And it's Craig Daneker from The Friendly Plant's going to come and chat to us about landscaping. Craig, I think you want to go through a few graphics, and then maybe we can just have a chat after that.
Sure. So basically, just to give you an idea of who we are internationally recognized garden design and installation company. We work on anything from the smallest townhouse garden you can imagine up to the clients in 15 different countries, which include a Hilton hotel in Ethiopia at the moment and a Marriott hotel in Uganda. We've done public parks and the very smallest garden you can possibly imagine. So with us, we believe in planning from the beginning. You have to know, especially things like outdoor areas, swimming pools, fire pit areas, or structural elements are key. Quite often what happens is an architect will draw up your house plans, and as a tick box he'll say, yeah, I've done the pool. But is that pool in the best place for the way that you're going to be using it? Quite often it ends up having a swimming pool right next to your house where you've got a lot of dead zones around the garden that you'll never use. So you ultimately have a stand of 1,000 square meters or whatever it is, but you should have, say, 300 or 400 square meters of garden space. But because of the layout, everything is so centralized in the house, you never go beyond that house space. So we do all of our designs, all of our gardens start off with a design. The designs are all drawn to scale. This is an example of one of the designs. You can see we also quantify how much of what goes where. So it's kind of like having a paint by numbers of your garden. Our industry is unfortunately a very informal industry, so a lot of landscapers will stand on your patio with you, have a look at the garden, promise you all sorts of things. They'll say, a tree in that corner, a water feature in that corner, not just any water feature, it'll be a beautiful water feature, but you've got no idea, is this going to be a pot overflowing, is it going to be a custom-made feature with a fancy weir? So what we do is, we basically take a holistic approach using not just the planting, but also elements like decking, pools, water features, fire pit areas, and we also have in-house construction teams, so we do everything turnkey from the initial design through to the finished product. And by taking a holistic approach, it's a lot more of a sort of synergistic design where everything flows together and works properly, rather than having a pool guy come and just placing a pool, a decking guy come and placing a deck, and nothing really fits together. So this is the 2D design. The next slide. On the top left, you'll see that's an example of a 3D rendering that we've done. We also offer a 3D design for the more built areas. This is an example of, okay, on the top left is the actual 3D design that's not built yet, and all the other pictures are that design that's actually been built. So you can see when it comes to things like fire pit areas, which are very, very popular, outdoor kitchens, we do probably more fire pits than anyone else in the country, and water features and swimming pools. It makes a massive difference being able to visualize before you commit to building and installing, because once it's built, it's there. So the 3D design allows you to fully understand what it is that you are going to be getting. And not only that, but you could maybe change the style. You might want to try a different type of finish. You might want, instead of cladding, you might want a painted surface or semcrete surface. By having a 3D design, you can see it before building it. This is just an example to show you an outdoor space that we designed, which also brings the outdoors into the indoors. So you sort of have that flow from the inside to the outside of the house. So you can see on the top right, for example, that's looking out at the pool area. That's a pool that we built, which is half in the ground and a little sort of 2/3 in the ground, 1/3 out of the ground. We built the fire pit in the middle, which uses biofuel, and we put LED lighting hidden around a glass plate, so during the day it just looks like a black rectangle. At night time you can light it up and change the colors as well. And then on this bottom left slide you can have that same angle, but from the other side looking back into the house. So that whole area is one sort of cohesive unit, rather than having a separate pool area and a separate entertaining area, because ultimately when people are around a swimming pool, they tend to want to entertain, whether it be family or friends or more of a social party type atmosphere. Everyone's normally, if they're in the same area, will engage more, and there'll be more fun times will be had. This is that same garden with the before and after. So on the left at the top, That shows you the before, and next to it on the right, the after. The 2 pillars that were standing in the middle there in this garden, we assumed had foundations. When we started building, they fell over, so we had to rebuild. They actually fell over during a storm, and the client phoned at 6:30 in the morning to say that they've just fallen over. And yeah, but anyway, so we rebuilt those, and then there was also a level difference between the outside patio and where we were building, so we had to straddle the fire pit over the little step, because the way that the land was laid, there's a lot of water that comes into that area, so you have to be kind of careful not to let your outdoor rainwater come indoors. It's just the outdoor experience. This is a garden that we did where they were looking for a pool area outside and a bit of an entertainment area. It changed into a pool area with a fire pit, an outdoor kitchen, braai, pub. The pub counter's got little LED lights. We custom fabricated that woodwork and steel at the top. So this is a lot more than a typical landscaper would want to get involved with, because it gets quite technical, especially, I mean, the water sprays we've got for the pool, we custom made those. It's not something that you walk into a shop and start filling your trolley. It's very much more creating something with an idea for that space. This is one we did out in Pretoria. Blank canvas, and we you can go to the next slide. That's what transforming the space completely. That's a little one in Norwood, tiny little garden that was very, very pokey, and they wanted a pool. That's a 3x4 pool. We put a nice big martini seat. It's 1.2 meters wide, so you can actually sit down and relax on it. It's not just a little sliver of a step. And the whole area feels far more spacious once you've actually designed it properly. It's not just that you sort of filling a whole lot of elements into a small space. I mean, that is a really, really small garden. If you've been to any houses in Norwood, it's a very, very small space that you've got to work with, and to have all the different elements all in one space and have it feel bigger than it did before is quite an achievement.
Craig, a couple of questions. That's quite nice. And I say the fire pits, being in bush architecture for 20 years, that was something that was in every lodge, had a fire pit, and it's quite nice to see it creeping into the urban environment, because it's really a friendly, amazing space. At what point I think we all know the answer, do you guys need to get involved?
We need to get involved early on, because of the structural things like swimming pools, jacuzzi, any outdoor entertainment space. We find not all architects, some of them are a bit more sort of open to looking beyond the house, but typical architect looks at the house and anything from that outer wall inwards. They're not really too concerned about what happens around that. So even the way the driveway works, any kind of features visually as you come into the entrance with water features and trees and planters and that type of thing. So from the structural element side of things, earlier the better. When it comes to the planting, landscaping is the last thing that you're going to be doing. So what happens is, by the time you do landscaping, typically budgets are long gone, and then you still want the garden that you first envisaged. So what we also offer is, with the design that we do, we can break it up into different phases. So rather than trying to dilute a small amount of money over a massive space, rather do a specific section. It might be your pavement area, it might be around your pool, and you do that area properly. In 6 months' time, a year's time, 2 years' time, you do the next section. You can do 2 sections at the same time, but ultimately, when it's all said and done, you're going to have what you wanted, rather than compromising from day one.
Like a lot of functions or elements that go into a home at the end, if it hasn't been planned up front, there's something else that doesn't happen up front. There's no budget, because we didn't think about it. So now at the end of the project, you're going, wow, we're just going to have to put up with a bush, or whatever. So planning up front also allows you to budget up front.
It does, very much so. But the thing is that we find, you guys will know better than anyone, people underestimate the building costs, and the fact that there's still escalations that happen along the way because of inflationary costs. Steel costs always going up, some end costs change. Your diesel and delivery costs will change. So the thing is, even when people do set aside some money, in the first instance, it's not normally enough that they set aside in the beginning, and then by the time the end of the project comes, they don't even have that. Yeah. So it becomes very, very tight to fit in what people's wishes are with what their budgets are.
Craig, thank you so much for coming and chat to us. Craig will be here, Craig Denecker, from the Friendly Plant. We'll all be here afterwards. Thanks.
Thanks.
Thanks. Thanks.